I'm Tanya Fox, and you're listening to Fox Talks Business Podcast. I started my career in the corporate world, but always played to my own tune and loved to think outside of the box. This didn't always serve me well with the bosses, so I made the decision to become an entrepreneur. And that little seed of entrepreneurial curiosity continued to grow as I branched out into retail, service, and franchise businesses. Now, I have been fortunate to have amazing successes in the last 2 decades, but they did not come without some really big failures and even bigger lessons learned. And that's why I started this podcast, not just to share the failures, but to show you how you can turn every failure into a success. We're going to hear from some amazing humans from around the world that are going to share their stories of the good, the bad, and the motivational entrepreneurial life has to offer. After all, life is too short to make all of the mistakes yourself, so why not learn from each other? And of course, we're going to have some fun, because as I always say, well, you know what? I'll tell you that at the end of the episode. So thank you so much for tuning in today, Foxy listeners. I'm really excited because not only am I coming at you with one, but two beautiful, incredibly talented ladies, Amber and Olivia. Thank you guys so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
So excited to be here.
So give us a little bit of a history of sort of how you two got together and, got to where you are, because you didn't, no one starts at the top. So we all like to hear the underdog story, so to speak.
Yeah, we actually love to share that piece because it's very inspiring. We're like, it wasn't always great and picture perfect, but we met honestly at a bridal boutique. Olivia managed, and I came in to attract more clients for my makeup company. And, I wanted to work on brides because I felt like that was a really good place for me. And we ended up weeks later having these major conversations every week about just business and girl talk and all that. And she's like, hey, Amber, what are you doing to brand yourself? Like, have you branded yourself? And I was like, I don't even know what you're saying to me. I was like,
like cattle?
What is branding? Excuse me. And truthfully, I literally had no clue, right? I knew companies, like they have this brand that you wear or whatever, but I didn't know the extent of it and that you could do that for yourself. And so that is also what she did. She did this for the bridal store, so many things. And she was like, oh no, you definitely need to brand yourself, because if you were to ever do anything different, people follow you because it's you, not because of what you are selling or promoting. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. And then her follow-up question was, do you do videos? Like, are you on YouTube? And have you thought about YouTube? And I'm like, you're blowing my mind. So nobody wants to hear me. I sound like this country girl from the South. There's other better makeup people.
Yeah, she totally turned me down. Like, she was like, YouTube. No, she was like, no, it's a lot of people on there, which a lot of people think, like, just because, the platform has a lot of different content creators on there, you think that, oh, there's no room for me. But that's what we help teach our women and let them know that people there, your voice needs to be heard. So, there's always space for you in, whatever platform you're using. So that's funny.
Yeah. So, I started with honestly just working in my community and trying to network constantly, because when you run a business, you are like the advertiser. You market, you do the promotion, you hype yourself up. And so I was like a one-woman show. And then when it came to utilizing like, oh, I could record something and I could post it and launch it and more eyeballs can see it. And I don't have to be present in front of those thousands or hundreds or millions of people, whatever your, marketing way is on your social platforms. And I got super excited about it. And so I started it and I was like, ooh, I kind of like doing video. I was like, oh, this is fun. Okay. And, but I did a lot of digging, right? I didn't want to make a video and not feel polished at all with like my messaging. My production level was pretty basic.
There's definitely growth happening over time.
Yeah. I used my iPhone in a window light, like natural. I had to record during natural daylight, right? That's all I had. And so I wasn't at the place that I could afford all the fancy things. And so I was like, oh yeah, okay. But as long as I know what I'm saying and that's coming across very clear and I'm just talking as though I'm talking to a client, I feel great about it. Mm-hmm. And so I was just given a lot of education and a lot of value. And my value level was still kind of like basic, but it was good.
Yeah.
But now I've gotten a lot deeper with it.
Yeah, I think, when she started out, it was more so just really thinking about what are your clients, what did they need? What are they asking you? Because when you create video for your clients, number one, you can reach more people because you don't consistently have to say it over and over and over. You have that piece of content that you can use over and over. It's out there. You can refer people to it, things of that nature. So it's like it continuously works for itself over time. You don't have to say it over and over or speak to tons of people. So I think that is the value. You saw that earlier on with your clients, like, oh, they need help with this. Let me make this piece of content for them.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, and I think that that's something that a lot of people struggle with, right? They go, well, I can't afford, all of this fancy equipment, not realizing, and we had talked a little bit off air that, I had, kind of I got my 15 minutes of fame, we'll say, with one YouTube channel that I had and like one video. And yeah, I mean, it was just shot with an iPhone because it really kind of was a joke thing that I was doing just for fun, because of course I had a son at the time who was young and was like, that's where you need to be. Like it was all about YouTube. And so I was the same as you. I relate to you, Amber. I was like, okay, like, and I think people think, we oftentimes as entrepreneurs, I find, get into our own head of thinking, who's really going to sit and watch these videos? And do I really want to play, the numbers game? Because that's, we're hearing a lot of people are getting exhausted by the number game. And, how do I even get subscribers? Like I'm struggling on everything else. And now I got to create something else. So I love what you said, Olivia, about this is something that you can think of as content that you can keep reusing. This isn't just like a one and done kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. And I love to even go deeper into that is that once you make that piece of content, especially when you're making it for YouTube, it's typically, a longer format of content. So, they're anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes are great videos for YouTube. But then you can kind of break those if you are on other platforms like Facebook and Instagram, even Reels and TikTok these days. Then you can shorten that content and make that same content shorter in short form so that you can repurpose it not only to your clients, like send it to multiple clients, but you can repurpose it on different platforms as well. So once you shoot the video, it's not like, oh, I can only use it on YouTube. With some education, you can learn how to edit and make it a little bit shorter, cut it down to where you can repurpose it on different platforms as well. So that's another thing that we like to remind people of. It's like, once you create, it's like that theme of the week. I'm going to create a video on this theme of the week, and then figure out how you can take parts of that video and either transcribe it for blogs or for posts, or cut it down into shorter formats to use for, shorter Reels and TikToks and video posts like that on other platforms. So
yeah, I think that's amazing. And I think it's an important thing for people to think out, because I think truly the last thing people want to do is have to start creating more content. I think we're all just like, I think a lot of people are feeling like, ugh, So let's talk a little bit about what is the most important thing that people should focus on when doing a video, because I think some people get stuck there like, well, what am I going to talk about?
Yes. Yeah. I honestly have to lead with you, like Olivia brought up earlier, whatever your clients are asking. Now, if someone is in a new business, that may be you don't know what your clients, but your listeners to this podcast are like, I have an established business. I have clients. I know what they're asking. It's really taking those questions and solving a problem, right? Because your avatar who you're speaking to is that client. And so when you're taking that question and you're problem solving, that is your message, right? That's the content that you're going to create. So that's personally where I have to always lead with, is because it is an exhausting process of thinking like, what are they having issues with? And the littlest things in just an email or, a DM or something, or a class that you're teaching in a course, and they're asking a question that you may consider that's super simple, right? I can solve this for you right now. Create content with that, create a video through that, right? Because if they have that question, someone else is going to also come against that. And so the biggest thing with using video, going back to the question, is making sure that you are leading with the value over the production because so many people will go, I have a computer, I have great lights, I have a mic, my background is stunning, I have everything that I need, but your message and your problem solving and your value in that message is not going to resonate with anyone. They're going to click off. They're not going to subscribe to your channel. They're not going to refer you or share the content, right? There's no value in it for them. But I find that videos that, you know, kind of lack in that production value, their message is so amazing and clear, and you feel as though right now you can go implement it and you feel like you can conquer everything. You're like, oh my gosh, I just solved this problem just by listening to the podcast, just by watching that YouTube video. And right there, that makes it very shareable. They want to immediately go like, oh my gosh, now my friend in business needs to hear the same thing. I don't think they've subscribed to that podcast yet or that YouTube channel. They need to go connect with that person because they really helped me. And people look past like, you know, okay, their background looked a little weird. You know what I mean? Like their lighting was a little off. Like they don't even care because they're really there to level up, you know? And so that they have to lead with that first before anything. That's more important.
Do you have any other thoughts, Olivia, on that?
And to, you know, really break down the types of content, is that you can create, you know, checklists. Like if there's something in your business where it's like, you need to do this before, you know, you need to do this before you can get this result. So like breaking it down for someone so that they can watch it and, like she said, implement it right away. So those types of content, how-tos, tutorials, those type, if there's anything in your business where someone needs to learn a new software or know the newest softwares to whatever business they're in. So it's just like teaching them ahead, like in your industry, always knowing what is the latest and the greatest, because that's something that you can bring to your channel or to your platform by saying, okay, this is a new tool, right? So if you're in photography, for instance, you can say, okay, these are the top 10 cameras to do this for portrait shooting, or this is this for this, right? So you're just really, whatever industry or niche you're in, just really thinking about what problem that my clients may face that that I can really help them with, or what are some of the new things. And sometimes it's even about entertainment. So it's like sometimes people just want to relax and get entertained. So it might be funny stories about something that happened in your business or something like that. So there's tons of different content that you can create. So I would just say, number one, just start to think. Brainstorm is the first thing that I would say. Brainstorm. Go through your DMs. Look at emails. Survey your people, right?
Yeah,
just ask the clients that you're serving, like, what are some things that if I could, you know, make a video right now for you, what are some things that you would love me to cover on a video, right? So it's just as simple as that.
And I think that's important too, is just to reach out, because not only are you reaching out and getting ideas and content, but you're also making that other connection with your clients, you know, and your customers as well. So it almost does a twofold for you by just reaching out and saying, hey, you know, what are you thinking? What's on your mind? You know, I love that. So let's talk a little bit about how, you know, collaboration is like a buzzword for me. I'm like, you know, like a dog seeing a squirrel running down the street. And anytime somebody says that word, I'm like, we're talking about that. That's my thing. So I just love that the two of you got together and collaborated. But let's talk a little bit about like how that happened, and maybe even some of the struggles you went through trying to figure out how that was going to work together.
Yeah, I can definitely touch on that. So like Amber said in the beginning, I asked her about branding. So I initially started helping her with her brand. So I told her she should do YouTube. So, you know, I built out a website for her, helped her do all her branding for her YouTube. And then she started creating these amazing videos. And so every time I would learn something about how to grow your channel, how to, you know, get more people to watch your longer videos and things like that. Every tip and trick I heard, or I read a book, or watched a podcast, or not watch, listen to a podcast, or watched another video, I, you know, told her to do it. So I was like, Amber, you need to do this. And she was the greatest student, because everything I told her to do, I mean, she implemented it almost immediately. Like I would watch her next video and she was saying it, or she was doing it, or her setup was this way. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's like the best, right? So that's the great thing. Be a great student, okay? That's step number one. And so she put everything into place. So we just started seeing her channel grow and grow and grow. By the hundreds a week, she was just growing and growing and growing, to the point that we're in the same beauty industry or the same beauty company. And so we would go to events for our beauty company, and people would start noticing us because I would be on some of her videos. And people would see us and they were like, oh my gosh, that is the Blush Babes or whatever. And we're like, oh my gosh, this is so weird. But people started seeing us out in public and knowing who we were. So we were like, wow, this is really going somewhere. We're really getting somewhere. And so then after that, so many people, so then she would be on her channel or she would be talking to people that were DMing her, asking her questions about beauty. And it was other people in the same beauty industry as well. And they were like, oh my gosh, I love your channel. Your branding is great. Who does it? And so she would shout me out like, Olivia does all my stuff all the time. And so then people start DMing me saying, oh my gosh, I need the Amber package. Like that's what they would text me. Like, can I get the Amber package or whatever? And I was like, wow.
I'm like, do I have a package?
So people would DM us all the time asking us questions like how we grew her channel, how we were doing it. And obviously her clients, Amber went from, like she said initially, hitting the pavement, going out, doing vendor events, doing all of this stuff where it took time out of her schedule to just creating videos and having the same results, even greater results by just creating videos on YouTube. So with that, people saw it, people took notice of it. And so they started asking us to help them with it. And so after a while, we were like, okay, I guess we need to do something. Like the people are asking.
Is this a business?
No, I know. So, I mean, that's what it really is. And so we decided to sit down. And at this point, we had grown the channel for about a year and a half. And we were like, okay, let's just tell them what we know, like how we started. So we created 5 videos showing people how to get set up on YouTube, how to set up their sets, what to say to convert clients and things of that nature. And so we set up this course. It's a 5-video course. And we set up a community around it. And so we just start promoting that and just helping more women, and people start seeing results from that. So then after that, the questions that people were asking us, it led us to even a bigger thing. So we launched this amazing mastermind this January where we helped 12 women launch their channels. We went even deeper. I did their branding for them. So they finally got that Amber package. And Amber really coached them on being on camera, what to say, how to say it, what not to say, things of that nature. And we brought in some amazing other coaches to really get them clear around who they were serving. Because a lot of times, people think they're like talking to everyone, right? I want to talk to all the women. Well, you really have to niche down, because if you speak to everyone, you talk to no one. Basically how it works, right? Because when your message is clear to a person, then they are really resonating with that. They're really attracted to you because they're like, oh my gosh, she's helping me. She's speaking to me. She's solving my problems. So we really help them niche down, know exactly who they're speaking to, get branded so they look aesthetically pleasing online. And then we also, like I said, on camera, a lot of people needed that confidence boost because they're like, I know I have something to say. I just need to know how to be more confident, how to really get my message across. And then the last thing that really helps is we have an amazing content coach that's in our program, and she helps them create content for 52 weeks. And that really helped them get through any barriers. Yeah. So we kind of basically set them up for success. And we just graduated our first 12 women from our cycle 1, and now we're accepting people for our cycle 2. So really people ask for it and we just deliver on what they were asking for. So that's kind of how we came together and collaborated. And, we started, another thing that we do is we create consistent content together. Yeah. So we have an A&O show that we do every single week. And people just love it. They just love the chemistry we have. People are like, y'all are so funny, all these things. So we just really created raving fans by just creating content and just coming on camera and being really personable and sharing what we do behind the scenes of how we work our businesses. And so people just resonate with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's an important message for people to take away, because they always try to, create a different persona or not let their own personality shine. And I know even myself, I mean, I struggled with that a lot because I have a very strong personality. So I would try to be careful. And then I was like, you know what? I just need to learn to accept that sometimes I'm going to offend people. And I just might not be your cup of tea, but that's okay. Right. And I think that right now, especially in this time, and you please correct me if I'm wrong, but I really feel that people are looking for that authentic person. Like they really kind of want to get to know like who you are. What do you like? They want to feel like, hey, I'm tuning in to Amber and Olivia. Like I know them, right? Like I call them by their first name because they're my friends.
Yes.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head.
Yes.
So many people for our mastermind, we do calls, and the great part about those calls is that we hear exactly that people are like, oh my gosh, literally when people get on the phone with us, they like fan out. And I'm like, we're just regular people.
We're just your girls.
We're just regular. But they're like, oh my gosh, we got y'all on the phone. I'm like, y'all need to stop, okay? Stop.
I think what happens, so people don't answer DMs, and people say, well, you can talk to my assistant, and we're like, no, you gonna talk to us. Like we are talking to you.
We're very personable, people reachable, and I think a lot of times people even say that to Amber, especially about beauty questions. People DM and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you responded. Like that's the little things, and people take that for granted. When you are a content creator or when you're a business and you're on social media, like we say all the time, Amber says all the time, keep the social in social media. Like talk to people, engage with people, answer people, speak to them, because you're exactly right when you say now that she's talking to people in the DMs or I'm answering people about the Amber package, they feel connected to us. They do feel like they're our friends. They, you know, we get on people and people are like, we've been watching you for years. Like they know everything about what we put on video, you know? So, you know, it's important to make that connection and be personable and really connect with your audience, because when you do have offers out there or services, like people are all game for when we decided to do Create Content Academy, because it's something that they needed and wanted, and we just put it out there. They asked for it, really.
And I think, you know, just getting out there and trying is important too, because, you know, even, you know, in the podcast industry, people would always say like, but I'm so nervous. My first, one that's going to go out. And I'm like, oh, you're going to hate it. Like you're going to love it at the time. And then about a couple of months later, if you go back and listen to it, you're not going to like it. And then a year later, you're going to be like, that is horrible. And then it's just going to become a blooper reel for you. Like it's just, which is good. Like I always think that's a good thing. Like if a year later you look back on your first video and you're like, wow, that lighting was horrible, or look how much I stuttered, like that means you've improved. If you look back on your first video and you were like, perfection, then maybe you're not improving all that much. But when you guys look back on, you know, your first videos, do you feel that way too? That you're like, whoo, come a long way.
Embarrassed.
I will have to honestly tell you, I want to delete and archive videos all the time. And I'm like, I have to take it down. It's so horrible. She's like, no, Amber, it shows where you've come from. And I'm like, well, you're right. But I hope that, oh gosh, but it's so bad.
No, and even one of our students, our mastermind students, she was like, you know, I went back and watched some of your old videos, and like she can tell that what we teach and what we tell them, like we've actually went through that process. Like we've actually grown from there, because a lot of times you have these coaches, they are like, oh, do this, but you don't really have any proof from where they like started and where they're going. So I think that's a great part about video. Like it is like, you're archiving, like where you, like you said, you can go back and look at it for you know, the past year and be like, wow, I've improved. But also your clients, that's like social proof. That's like credibility that you're building, because then they can see that, oh my gosh, she really has grown. I can really tell, you know, where she started and where she is now. And even people say like, wow, yeah, not like you're horrible, but yeah, I've seen your growth.
Yeah.
So I feel comfortable with you teaching me how to do it, because I've seen where you come from, and obviously something has worked. Your channel has grown, even though I saw where you started, you know?
And starting before you're ready is something Olivia says a lot, which she taught me. So when we went through the mastermind ourselves, because we did everything, we went through it, I was like, thank goodness we did start somewhere, because we would not be where we are today if we didn't do that. And, you know, you can be at a position, I'm sure you are too, like oh my gosh, like I've made it. It's so good. But I mean, there's always improvement, right? You're always learning and, you know, seeking more and more and more to just be better. And so you have to start somewhere though, and you can't start at a 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that is something I just want everybody to really take and consider that.
Well, and I think, like it's not a struggle. I think sometimes when you're going through it, it's almost like the hindsight is when you realize like, wow, man, I remember those days where I was, cold contacting people, try to get them on the show and like, peddling myself and so, but I'm very grateful for that experience because I find it's helped me in so many different ways in, when I hired staff and I was asking them to do stuff, I really understood what I was asking them because I've made those calls. I've had to, I've done what I'm asking them to do now. So I could understand when they were struggling and I could help them through it. And also I can look back and, and laugh at some things, but I also found too, like when you were saying to keep the videos up, I think that's important too, because you just never know. Like I have some people that'll come back to me and they'll be like, I went and listened to your like second episode. And I was like, Lord, which one was that one? Like, I was like, we're over 100 episodes in. Like, I'm like, what was I talking? And then I have to go back and I was like, oh, but there's still something that they latched on or that they resonated with. And I was like, well, I'm really glad like I kept that one. And I find it's a good reminder too of, even going back and going, yeah, I was really excited about that. Like I did an interview with a gentleman that is a professional Santa. And I was like elated that I got to interview Santa Claus. And I'm telling you, if you get a chance, I'll plug my own show here a little bit, but definitely head back to that episode. I was so excited. You would have thought that like, I mean, I was interviewing Oprah or something. Like I was just like, this is the best. Like what podcaster can say they interviewed Santa Claus? And he like played the role to perfection. Like it was amazing. But every now and then I find myself too, I go back and I watch that, those content or, and I find it helps me to grow because it reminds me, I think it reminds us where we were, where we are now, and then sort of helps us to sort of propel and go, ooh, let's get even better. Like what else can we do now?
Yeah, speak to that, to speak to the introverts out there, because I'm an introvert. And so a lot of people are like, how do you do it? Like, you're not an introvert or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I'm totally am, right? And so my husband, he reminds me all the time because he does something that I think is a tad bit annoying. And he loves to play my YouTube videos, my old YouTube videos on the TV, just randomly. And I'm like, why are you playing this? Because first of all, I think I'm finally starting to get a little bit comfortable with my voice. But when I first started doing video, I hated the sound of my voice. Like I absolutely despised it. So I could never listen to my videos because I was like, I sound hideous and I don't want to hear myself. And then my husband would play them on TV and I'm like, really?
And it's weird, right? Like it's weird when you all of a sudden are walking somewhere and you're like, that's my voice.
I know. It's like, why are you playing that right now? So I would say for the introverts, it gets definitely more comfortable. Just keep doing it because the consistency gets you more comfortable. It also, you kind of work those kinks out in like how you speak and those things. So I would just say keep going because at times it will seem like, oh my gosh, this is so annoying. I don't want to do this. But, just keep going.
And I think that that's true too. I think people always go, well, they'll see somebody on camera and then they just think like, oh, it must be so nice. Or it's like, because I get that all the time. Oh, it must be so easy for you. And I'm like, no, I still get nervous every time before I go on a live or I go on a video or whatever. I just know that it's not going to kill me and I'll just make it through. Right? But the whole time I'm like, at the end, I'm still like, how was that? Was that okay? Like whoever's in the room, did I go off into left field again? Like, so I think it's just remembering that everybody's doing that behind the camera. It's not, it's not just you kind of thing. I love that.
Yeah. And I would say one more thing is just speak to one person. That's something that we learned earlier on. Like, don't try to speak to everybody. Like when you're speaking, just you know, really zone in and say, okay, I'm helping this one person, I'm helping this one client, this one friend. Speaking to one person really helps you kind of get in the zone and not feel like, you know, hundreds of thousands of people can potentially watch your video or listen to your podcast. You don't even, that's out of the question, right? You're just speaking to that one person that really helps like calm your nerves and be like, well, I'm just chatting with a friend, you know, versus I'm speaking to the masses, then you get really like nervous, like everybody's gonna hear this. Like just kind of get that out of your mind and say, okay, I'm just speaking to that one person.
So let's talk a little bit about subscribers because, you know, I mean, where would we be without them? So, and I mean, that's the thing that everybody strives for, but there is kind of like plateaus that people hit or like worry that people get that they don't want to be like, you know, the one that's knocking on the door and being like, hey, hit the button. Hey, hit the button. Hey, hit the button. Like, come on. So what tips can you give for people to, you know, let's say that they've gotten on, they've got their channel, they've gotten over that hump and just threw that video out there. What are some tips that they can use to get those people that are actually subscribing to them?
A few things to say through your video is because it does become very repetitive, right? You're like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment below, like the video, share with your friends, and you're just like, sound like a robot. So, you know, it's to drop the reasons on why, right? And so one of the biggest things to say to a viewer watching is you welcome them to your channel, right? They may have watched you before, but if this is like one of your first or few videos, it's like, welcome back to my channel. The second thing that you want to really implement is, hey, if you're new here and you've never been, I'm excited you're here. Stay, come on in, right? And you have to really think of these videos as like someone coming to your house for the first time. You don't just go, yeah, come in, what's up? And you turn your back and just walk to your bedroom, you know, and you're like, well, feel free, figure it out.
Good luck.
You know, you're like, yeah, welcome. I'm excited you're here. I hope that you really have a good time. Let's go in and hang out. And then you're really bringing them into the video, you know, and that makes them immediately, you know, I am that content creator. I do these videos. But when I am watching and listening as, you know, someone that just wants to soak up all this knowledge, I'm like, oh my gosh, like now I feel so welcome. I'm staying here. You know, I can't wait to get back in the video, you know? So that's how you want to really bring in the first portion of it. And then like throughout the video, you drop these nuggets. You know, some of the things are, especially when your video starts to get monetized, so then they start putting in commercials, you know, you want to say like during the commercials that you see, you know, don't X out or don't skip them, but get in the comments, read the comments and ask me some questions. Because that way, you know that video obviously gains more if they can watch that video and that advertisement, if that plays the entirety of it. And then throughout the video, I always drop these things. And I'm like, if you like what you're seeing and learning today, just go ahead and subscribe. Stay here. This is a channel that you can always reference back to. You know, this is your home base and we're going to hang out next time. So yeah, don't forget to subscribe. So you're dropping that throughout the video so it doesn't sound so repetitive. It's very natural. You know, it's like conversation with your girlfriend. And you're like, yeah, during lunch, y'all are eating lunch and you're already planning your next time to hang out. And so that is exactly when Olivia is just speaking to like, speak to that one person. That's what you would do naturally with a friend. And so you're kind of planning the next time that you're going to see that person and talk to them. And then I do say throughout the video, like if you did like this video and you learned anything today, hit the like button because that lets me know that there was good value in this, you know? And then another thing I'm like, if you found that one of your friends in business or a friend, you know, doing her makeup routine is going to, you know, really find some of this content helpful so they can play this while they're getting ready in the morning, share this with her. Like help a sister out, right? Like you hype up the coffee that you drink and you want to tell everybody about this new Starbucks drink you're drinking. Send this video to her. This is a new channel that you're on, you know? You have to really put things in perspective for them. Because I talked to my husband honestly about this last night. He watches a channel that these guys release a video, 3 of them a week. And so he's watching them and I was like, do you like their videos? I'm like, you subscribe, but do you comment on their videos? And he's like, nah. And I'm like, no, do that. And I told him, you know, I always, you know, he has to hear it a lot to understand why. And so he's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, that is what it helps them create more. And it shows them like, oh, this video was good, right? Like I can, you know, elevate it even more next time. I can go a little deeper next time. So that's one of the things too. I have to tell you a story. When I first got subscribers to my channel and Facebook, I had 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time and all the things. And I was like, that's super cool. And they were like, okay, well, now you can get monetized. So you go through like the whole thing on how to do that and the AdSense and all that. So I had it set up, but there was no money yet there. And so I wasn't checking it every day, right? This is another thing. Don't go and check in your analytics every day. You're going to see nothing. Give it a little bit of time. And Olivia was just on the computer and she was like, Amber, you got money in here. And I was like, money? And she was like, yeah, you have like $100 because it's like every $100 they'll like send it out to your account.
I thought it was 300.
No, it was
every 100. I only know that because I still get checks from one channel. It's $100.
Yeah, when they do send it to the account, but there was like 100 in there. Yeah, I couldn't transfer it yet or something. Yeah. But there was 100 in there. You would have thought that I just won a lottery of $1 billion. I was so ecstatic. I was jumping. My head was moving crazy directions. I had the worst headache after because I acted like a nut job. We went live. I think we were on live when she told me. And so that was insane. It was so just me. And something about just being authentic and having people like see where you started, it was huge. And something like, I just can't take those things for granted, right? Because yes, I spent a lot of time and energy. Yes, viewers that you're listening right now, you're going to spend a lot of time and energy. You're like, okay, well, great. It's paying off now. No, it's always paying off, right? You're getting blessed somehow throughout that. And so just don't take those moments for granted because it just sends me back to just like the earlier days. I'm like, oh, the $100 I made on my first YouTube channel, like, or in the account, I was like, oh my gosh, I'll never forget that experience. And so it's
true though. It's very exciting. Like I remember that too. Like I remember being like, wait, you want to start paying me? Yes, sir. I will fill my name out and my banking information. Send me money. And I mean, I think it's important. Like you said, I think it's important to celebrate those things. Cause even, the other day I get an email and it's like, Google sending you money. I was like, thank you, Google. But I think, to your point, I think it's true. We also have to make sure, are you doing what you're wanting your people to do? Are you subscribing to those people you really like to watch? Are you commenting? Are you paying that forward as well?
Yes. And I think before I was a horrible YouTuber, I just watched. I never subscribed. I just soaked up all the information. I was like, yeah, it was really good, but I didn't know who they were. I didn't connect with their channels because I just did not understand.
Yeah, I watched it. They know I watched it, right?
Yeah. I felt like they were very unreachable, right? And I was like, oh yeah, this is like bravo. Like, I just can't, like, how can I connect with these people? Never. But that's so untrue with YouTube. And that's the beauty of it, is that, they are in the comments. They are responding back to you. They will they will do the things that they're saying. Leave a comment. I'll answer it in my next video to you. They will give you a shout out, all those things. And I'm finding like that more and more. And I'm like, y'all don't understand how powerful this platform is for not only them, but for you. And you can do that too. People can't just like call up ABC and be like, okay, I have a show idea. And they're like, yep, picking it up next week. Like, no, people are starting YouTube channels and having their voice be heard, right? And they know that they are in charge of the editing and how it gets presented. And I'm like, people have a message. You said that earlier, Olivia. People have a message. Get out there and speak. You are speaking to people that really need your expertise, your knowledge. Even if you're not a 10, that's fine. You're a 3 or a 5. It's great. You're speaking to the 1s and the 2s right now that are unknowledgeable. They just need to start. And we have found that to be true with these women that we just launched their channels. Yeah. It's like, their channels are so good too. And they're just getting started. And I'm like, I love learning from y'all. Y'all are powerful entrepreneur women. Y'all are boss babes. Like, keep going. It's so good.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's good.
Yeah.
So if people are out there right now and they're like, okay, this is it. Like, I'm feeling it. I'm starting to like, I'm getting the vibe. I want to throw that video out there. And they're like, okay, Now what? What is the best way for them to find you guys and learn more from you?
Go for
I
it.
was gonna say, the first thing I say with if you go to our website, we have a website. It's called createcontentacademy.com. And on that website, we have a free 5-day challenge for you. And that challenge really helps you build the foundation of building, starting the YouTube channel. So it's kind of how to start a YouTube channel. We really cover the basis. So we kind of help you get started. So I would say that's the first place for you to start. Is start there, because it's free for one thing. And it's great information, and it will really help you set the foundation for what you want to do when it comes to video. So I would say that's number one way to get with us.
Yeah. And if they put a video out, like you've created your channel, you actually posted the video and it's public, I would just say the best thing is you have to tell people, right? Don't assume YouTube's going to do it for you. That's exactly what I did. I was like, okay, YouTube, now you got it. Go.
Shout me from the rooftops.
I'm like, please, people, watch it. It's keywords. So TubeBuddy or TubeBuddy is a phenomenal resource to using your channel and really making sure like you are really hitting everything, the keywords and getting your descriptions and your tags. Because without that, to be honest with you, it's really unsearchable because people are not finding it. And making sure you're tagging your name too, because when people are like Googling your name or your company, or you want to make sure those are the things that are popping up. So just utilizing the back end of TubeBuddy on your video will be everything. But then just really like telling your list, like your email list, and saying like, hey, I just launched a channel. Like, here's a new video. I think this would be really a great resource for you. Boom. Send it out to your email list, put it on Instagram, put it on your Facebook groups, and making sure people are aware, bring awareness to that, and allowing them to understand, like, you just want to elevate your message more, and you think that video will be something that, they can obviously watch and enjoy, and that you want to put out good resources. So go subscribe, because it's really going to help you. Because I find people that start a channel, they don't just start it to go, hey, I just want to talk about myself. Granted, there might be channels that, we do. I'm sure we all three are sitting here like, okay, we don't talk about ourselves, but we are really trying to solve a problem. And we obviously have expertise in our field where we are. And we're like, okay, now we've learned, I want to teach you that. And YouTube is a free platform to go learn. Google is free. I would find like you can Google all day. It might take you a long time to solve a problem because you're going to be Google friendly out there. So I would say definitely find a coach, find a mentor, find someone that can kind of take you under their wing, get inside those programs, because that'll really help you, like, kind of in that incubator way, right? To kind of have faster results. And when you go, hey, I have a question, it's going to get answered properly. And you'll have some clarification behind that. But yeah, back in, make sure the tags, your thumbnail is everything too, that picture above. You know what I used to do? I just uploaded, and then YouTube would just take a random shot like this.
They're never a good freeze frame, but I just leave them because I want to see how ridiculous it's going to pause me.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, wow, are people going to watch that? And so just make it very like click worthy. So I always have to tell, women that we're working with, and I'm like, what makes you stop the scroll? What is it that captures your attention? Then that's really what you want to put in place for your channel. Is that don't make it like, oh, that's okay. But no, it needs to stop and be like, dang, let me click that.
Yeah, what is happening here? I got to see this.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Yep. So those are really good things to put
in place. I'll just really hit on something that you said is making searchable content. So it is so important when you're creating content that you are doing the back end research on whatever you're going to talk about, to see, like, even simple as using the toolbar when you search for YouTube, when you put in a subject or you put in like how to, or steps to do this, like, it will give you some ideas, some search ideas of what people actually search for. So taking those things that they get, like, that's free content ideas right there for you. So even with Google, like, seeing when you Google something, like, seeing what else pops up, because it's so important to make searchable, to make your titles for your video searchable. And when I say that, I mean, like, sometimes people will try to get too cute, like, now I'm so used to not making too cute. I'm trying to think if I can actually do something that's too cute, like, oh, a day in my life. Like, for instance, right? Nobody is searching a day in your life. What happened that you could, even if you do a day in a life video, like, what is something in that video that you did that is a teachable moment that you can highlight when you make that title? Because people are not going to be searching a day in a life, but they might be searching how you set up your set for how you record your show or something like that. Mm-hmm. So then you can put that as your title, to where if someone's looking up, setting up a set for YouTube, or setting up lights for YouTube channel, or video recording or something like that, that's something I'm actually going to search for. Right. I'm not searching for a day in your life, because I don't care.
I don't know you.
Their channel, and you see that's the portion of the video they're taking you on this journey with them on setting up for recording for their YouTube channel, then you're more attracted to that, because you're like, oh, this is real life. It's not stiff. Like, grab this light and then place it here beside your table. Like, it's like, okay, girl, I bought this off Amazon. It's super amazing. It's $12.99. Go get it. This is kind of what my set looks like. And you're just giving them this whole, like, and it just makes it very like, oh my gosh, that's my life. I can do that.
And I really want you guys to understand that I'm not saying you cannot record a day in the life. I'm just saying you have to make it super interesting.
Yes.
Like, people has to know that there's going to be some value in that day in life. You're not going to be sitting on the couch watching Netflix, You probably know you're not recording that, but maybe you will be. Who knows? But just making sure they know that it's some value. And when you title the video, you're leading with the value. And then everything else, that's our great connection points, right? Because they're going to see, like, oh, she ate this for breakfast. Super cool. I should eat this, or I never thought of this. So those little interesting things about in your video will really help, and really help to connect you with people. But what's the value in the video?
Right.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a great tip for people, because I think we get stuck, right? And that title can be like a daunting thing to think of, right? Like, do I make it catchy? Do I make it, but just, make it something that people are actually going to look for. Exactly. I love that. That's a great tip. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure to sit and chat with you guys and learn from you. And I've got my own notes on some stuff that I'm like, you know what? I forget to tell people to subscribe to my podcast all the time. I can't even tell you. I was like, as you were saying that, I was like feeling a little embarrassed. I'm like, oh, I remember the last time I asked somebody to go and leave me a review. So everybody's going to have to hold me accountable at the end of this one. When I do my outro, I'll have to start doing that again. See, I was taking it for granted.
Yeah, when we're listening to more, I'll be like, yes, girl.
I did that.
And honestly, I just want to make everybody feel okay. The best content creators forget to do that, right? There are channels that have millions of subscribers, and they say sometimes, I know I keep forgetting to tell y'all, because we just get so excited about our message that we just go like, oh yeah, duh, subscribe, right? But it is very important to say. But I think your message in your podcast and what you've been teaching, it oversteps that people automatically want to subscribe without you even asking them to. So you're doing a really good job.
Oh, well, thank you. So we'll make sure we have all of the links on our blog post, where you can find both Amber and Olivia and all of the amazing stuff that they have. When does your next mastermind launch?
It launches, we're in the process right now. So April 6th is the date of the first class, and it's a 10-week mastermind. So right now we're in the process of having those conversations. Women can set up a call with us and just figure out if this is a program that they would be great for, if it's a good match for them, right? Because it is an accelerated program. So we want to be like, are you ready for it? But Create Content Academy, they can get in anytime. And they still have the community and those 5 videos to go ahead and help them launch their channel and have a success. And we're going to be there on the back end to help them out as well.
Well, I look forward to following you, and I will, of course, hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. We enjoyed it.
So in recording this outro, this is probably about take 8, I would say. So just goes to show you that even seasoned pros that have been doing it for 3 years still sometimes have to record over and over again to get the outro exactly the way they wanted it. But I want to give a huge thank you to Amber and Olivia for taking time to chat with me. Oh, my cheeks are still sore from how much we laughed and had a good time. And I just look so forward to staying connected with them. So I would like to encourage you all to make sure that you head over to createcontentacademy.com. You'll be able to find all of the stuff that they have, as well as join their free 5-day challenge, which is on there. So that's really great. And then of course, head over to their YouTube channel to check out all the stuff that they have going on. You'll be able to see quick links on our website at foxtalksbusiness.ca. Just click blogs on the left-hand side. You will see the post for this episode and all the ways that you can get in contact and keep up with both Amber and Olivia. Now, I would be remiss, and I'm always a girl who does my homework. So Amber, Olivia, I'm doing my homework. For all of you Foxy listeners out there, I appreciate your time so much. And I would just love if I could take one more moment of your time, if you could head over and subscribe to wherever it is that you listen to us. Don't forget to hit the notification so you can be made aware of when we have new episodes that come up. And if you're one of those people who really want to put faces to the names, head over to our YouTube channel where you are going to be able to see all of the people that I interview on video. And I would love for you to subscribe, as well as let us know in the comments what it is that you took from the episode. I always love hearing what it is that you guys got out of it. It helps me learn more. So I really appreciate those messages and DMs that you guys send me. So no matter what you're doing today, whether you're recording your first video, your 100th video, or whether you're just trying to get your outro right in one go, make sure that you're finding time to have fun. Because as I always say, if you're not having fun, why are you doing it?